welcome you to the Let Us Dream 2020 Triennial International Virtual Conference on behalf of the entire International Conference Planning and Organizing team. They have been working tirelessly preparing for this event since January of this year. In fact, this conference is the outcome of a journey of more than 100 volunteers from different cities, countries, and cultures crossing three different continents: Asia, Europe, and North America. The path along this journey was an emergent one, not without its challenges, but one that was spawned shared commitment within our team to bring you the Let Us Dream conference, with its aspirational theme connecting local communities and service initiatives through global networking. Consequently, we are delighted to be able to provide you with a program consisting of an illustrious group of diverse, talented, and dynamic speakers, panel discussion members, and unsung heroes, all of whom have selflessly given of their time, expertise, experience, and effort to bring this conference to you free of charge. However, first let us take a look at the genesis of this conference and how it has evolved into this year's International Virtual Conference. The Let Us Dream Conference was the vision of Dr. Father Lejo Thomas, who saw the need to create a forum for professionals, scholars, researchers, and post-secondary students to connect and share experiences in implementing community improvement initiatives. Out of that vision, the Let Us Dream Conference was launched in 2017 at Louisiana Tech University in Ruston, Louisiana, USA. The overarching purpose of that conference was to provide opportunities for networking, sharing community improvement models, and developing the next generation of community leaders. The conference was a great success with approximately 200 people in audience. The Let Us Dream 2020 Triennial International Virtual Conference was a vision of empowering local communities, evolutionary outgrowth of that first locally sponsored conference in Louisiana. Since that first conference, annual Let Us Dream conferences have taken place at 5 universities in 3 different countries. We would like to take this opportunity to extend our deepest gratitude to these 5 host universities, where the Let Us Dream conference has already been established as an annual community event, and for supporting, promoting, and participating in this year's conference planning. Also, we want to extend a sincere thank you to the numerous partner organizations who have assisted us in promoting and marketing this year's international conference, as well as providing their expertise in various planning committees. Before we begin the day with the opening address, I invite you to join me in observing a moment of silence to connect each other beyond our boundaries and pray for the healing and harmony in the world. I would like to now introduce our opening comment speaker, Dr. Harvey G. Stenger. Dr. Harvey G. Stenger was appointed President, Binghamton University in 2011. At Binghamton, his emphasis has been on strengthening academic programs, expanding research, and promoting economic development. Most recently, he has led the university's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. He has served in administrative roles at the university at Buffalo and Lehigh University. Dr. Stenger earned his PhD from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology with a research focus on synthetic liquid fuels.
Thank you, Ms. Rao, for that generous introduction, and thank you for letting me open Day 2 of the Let Us Dream International Conference. Over the course of this conference, more than 25,000 people will participate in learning how to build networks that are sustainable, that can help our communities. We were fortunate enough last year to host the conference live here at our College of Community and Public Affairs. And one of the benefits of hosting a conference, especially the live ones, are the participation of all the people that helped to organize it, from our first-year students to our most advanced faculty members, working together to create an itinerary, an agenda, and to host that conference was a great experience. I can imagine that what's happening right now to pull this one together virtually is just as challenging and perhaps in many ways more challenging. The model of education that we use at CCPA is that the research has to inform the education of our students by their internships and service learning in our local community that has a real and measurable impact. These internships provide a tremendous experience for our students to learn the impacts of service learning and community engagement on the entire world, and their experiences will help those partners in the future. The topic and theme of this conference has a lot to do with healthcare, and what better thing to be discussing right now as we're in the middle of this pandemic, but how we can support the healthcare systems around the world. Today's keynotes and panelists are going to discuss two critical issues. Mental health, probably the number one concern right now in our nation and in the world. And secondly, the disparities of healthcare that people have access to, not just here, but everywhere in the world. Certainly, I want to thank the team leaders, panelists, moderators, and keynotes who are providing valuable information to our audience, and I know it was a lot of work to pull this together. Certainly, we want to thank Christ University in Bangalore, India. We want to thank the Catholic University of Applied Sciences in Germany, our own Binghamton University here in Binghamton, New York, Louisiana Tech University, as well as Grambling State University. Thank you so much for pulling this together and partnering in such a great way. And of course, I'd like to thank my friend, Father Lijo Thomas, who helped organize this conference, but also is the founder of the Let Us Dream organization. Thank you so much, Father. I hope to see you soon. And I want to thank the thousands of people who have watched and participated in this conference. While being virtual isn't always the best thing, it does have that added advantage of being able to reach so many people in such an efficient way. So thank you for being part of this conference as well. I hope you have a great conference. And here's your assignment. Listen carefully, take notes, and especially bring those ideas back to your organization and implement them. That's the goal of a successful conference. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you in person soon.
I would like to now introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Philip McCallion, Professor and Director, School of Social Work, Temple University, Philadelphia, USA. Dr. McCallion's research interests fill an important niche in the field of social work, bridging scholarship on aging populations and those with intellectual disabilities such as Down syndrome. He is co-principal investigator of the Intellectual Disability Supplement to the Irish Longitudinal Study on Aging, a visiting professor at Trinity College Dublin, A. John A. Hartford Foundation Social Work Faculty Scholar and Mentor, and a member of the Steering Committee of the National Task Group on Intellectual Disabilities and Dementia. A renowned researcher since 1996, Dr. McCallion has received more than 30 million in research funding and has published more than 140 articles on interventions with older adults with chronic conditions, caregivers of frail elderly, persons with Alzheimer's disease, and persons with intellectual or development disabilities. As a mentor to junior researchers, he has served on 23 doctoral student committees, of which he has chaired 14 and supervised 40 doctoral and master's projects. Dr. McCallion's research began with randomized controlled trials of psychological interventions for people with dementia and their caregivers. His interests have extended to creating aging-prepared communities, evaluating non-pharmacological interventions, increasing the research reach of palliative care programs, and developing community-oriented projects to assist aging persons with intellectual disabilities. Within this work, Dr. McCallum emphasizes evidence-based interventions, collaboration with state and logical agencies, and community capacity building.
I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me to deliver this keynote on health. As you'll see in the first slide, I also wish to acknowledge Lisa Peretti, who is my colleague and partner in the work that I'm about to discuss. I always begin my consideration of this work by thinking about this issue of chronic illness. You'll see here on this slide to the left-hand side that the top 10 global causes for death. There are two on this list that are of particular interest to me in the work that I do. Heart disease and diabetes, particularly type 2 diabetes. These are non-communicable diseases. They are often lifelong in terms of their implications. And they require that there are things that I do as an individual, but also that there are ways in which the community can either support me or can make my life more difficult with those diseases. To the bottom right of this slide, you'll see much of my work is done in the United States. And so I look at that 6 in 10 adults in the US have at least one chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more. And these are the leading causes of death and disability and the leading drivers of our annual healthcare costs. In the top right corner, I also want to talk about the linkage between physical health and mental health, which is one of the themes for the health section. People with other chronic medical conditions have a higher risk of depression, and people with depression are at higher risk for other medical conditions. And yet, even when other illness is present, depression is treatable, so that there's a complex interaction between physical and mental health that we really need to be concerned about and involved with. But when I think about these chronic conditions, I'm not a physician, but yet I think I have an important role to play in how we manage our chronic conditions. And I think that largely because of the social determinants of health, that we realize that so much of what happens from a health perspective is influenced by all the other things that go on around us in our lives. Our income, the physical environment, our employment situations, our levels of literacy are all important. But also there are things like healthy behaviors, there are things like access to health services. What about the levels of social support that are available to me? And what's the impact of gender in the midst of this? And how are we permitting gender to perhaps influence access, for example, to healthcare? And so I think that these are areas where, as individuals and as communities, there are things that we can do that will improve the management of chronic conditions for everyone. So this next slide has the chronic care model, which is something that really looks at the relationship between formal healthcare, between health systems and the community and the individual. And I draw your attention to that idea that there is an activated community that includes informed, activated patients, and that productive interactions and relationships involve their interaction with practice teams, with community partners, as well as the healthcare system. And that's how we arrive at good outcomes. So in this slide, I'm really interested in trying to understand the linkages, certainly between health determinants over the life course, but also health outcomes and its distribution in the populations that I work with, and then to look at the interaction that policies and other interventions at the individual and the population level can have on whether it's influencing determinants of health or influencing health outcomes. So as I work, to develop and test and encourage interventions, I'm also greatly influenced by what we call the RE-AIM framework. RE-AIM is reach, effectiveness, adoption, implementation, and maintenance. Really causes us to sit back and think about, well, the evidence says that this intervention will have a great effect, so why doesn't it happen? Well, it doesn't happen perhaps because we're not reaching the right people. It doesn't happen because there aren't organizations who either are able to or who want to adopt it. It doesn't happen because we don't implement it in the right way. And often it doesn't happen because we have no mechanism for maintaining an intervention once we start it with great fanfare. So effectiveness is still important. That's the other component that I haven't addressed just yet. But let's think about sort of what does it mean to say that an intervention is effective? I think an intervention is effective when it becomes widespread in a community. I'm less interested in an intervention that only works for 3 or 4 people. I know it's important for them. There are other people who will do that work. That's not the work that I'm focused on. I'm focused upon interventions that will become widespread. And so with that in mind, I want to give an example from my work on building healthy communities of sort of the kind of work that's done and the kind of issues that we need to be thinking about. So this was the Healthy Hearts on the Hill Coalition. And it was a genuine coalition of a group of neighbors. And as a university, we were one of the neighbors. We were in a community called West Hill. And the community decided that they wanted a project that would mean that their neighbors would have the means and access to live heart-healthy lifestyles within the community and supported by the community. So we started out with some particular strengths, and each community is a little different. What we were fortunate to have was that we had developed some programs already, like the Neighborhood Health Advocate Program, that was serving a very, very small number of people. We had the faith communities in West Hill who were organized and who wanted to make a difference. We had a medical school that was nearby that had a small community service program and was willing to partner with us. We also had capacity for evidence-based health programming, and that had been demonstrated effective in individual behavior change, in which if the community was interested, we could very quickly stand up capacity to deliver those. But I think the most important thing that we had was that there was an interest among the agencies and individuals in the community to build a coalition. And there was an interest in doing this in a partnership way, in a participatory way. So when I think about traditional community change strategies, we tend to choose a unit for intervention. We're either largely focused on individual change or we're largely focused on community change. And yes, there's a lot of communication back and forth, but we're interested in understanding what that means for the individual or what it means for the community. In our coalition, we wanted to do something a little different. We were really interested in a community change strategy that really mobilized the individuals in the community. We worked on partnership building, we worked on co-creation of community-based programming, and we utilized evaluation to understand what the impact was at both the individual and the community levels simultaneously. Not one or the other, but both. So we then sort of really targeted in on sort of, well, where do we want the change? What is it that we're doing? What are we targeting? And we certainly looked at the system level, looking at the health providers, the structure of healthcare delivery. But we also looked at the role of faith and community-based organizations in promoting change. And we looked at the roles of individuals, of businesses, of the social networks that already existed in the community in promoting change at all levels. And then we looked at how well we were building community-driven solutions, a strong coalition where we're mobilizing the community, were we advocating and where should we advocate for systems change at the level of policy, regulation, and practice? It was a grassroots effort, certainly in support of individual behavior change, but something that was permeating the whole community. We looked at offering screening programs to build greater awareness of the chronic conditions. We looked at referral systems for primary care. Many times the most challenged communities have the least access to care. So we worked on sort of how do we ensure that that access is available. And we targeted our programming at the major risk factors, in this case for cardiovascular disease. We looked at nutrition, we looked at physical activity, we looked at helping people to stop smoking, and we looked at chronic disease self-management. I can tell you the best ways in the world to improve the care of your chronic condition, but I'm not going to be there every day, 24 hours a day, to help you with that. Really, I need to be working on how do I help you to manage these things for yourself. And so that's why we had such an emphasis on chronic disease self-management. But it was also about creating a community that would support all of this. So we focused in on increasing community awareness and education. The screening events were a good example. We looked at increasing access to healthy foods. We talk about food deserts as being a problem. Again, that's sort of people who have poor access to transportation, who have chronic conditions, often have the least access to healthy foods. And so how do we increase access in the community? And there are a variety of strategies, often very low cost and very effective, to bring healthy foods in, including helping people with understanding how to cook those healthy foods. And then we also looked at the issue of physical activity, and we realized that it was about increasing access, but it was also about creating safe physical activity spaces. And so as a community, we worked together on that. Then again, because our interest was in engaging at the community level, we wanted this to be something that everybody in the community was aware of, and that it was really transformational. So we organized something that we called the Biggest Winner. So it was a contest that we ran for several months, from April to December in the year that we ran it. It was modeled after a TV program in the United States called The Biggest Loser. And that's a program that really focuses upon helping people to lose weight. But the people in our neighborhood said, everybody thinks we're losers. We don't want to be called losers. There's nothing to be gained by being the biggest loser. And so we decided, okay, then we'll be the biggest winner. So we targeted the three major means of health-related behavioral change: nutrition, physical activity, and healthcare monitoring and management. And what we wanted to do, and what we succeeded in doing, was getting people to commit for a period of 4 months, that each month they would do activities that within those three areas, and that they would get points awarded for the activities that they did, and that people would commit to 4 months of these activities and to gaining at least 30 points each month. And if they did that, they'd be able to qualify then for a grand prize drawing. But at the same time, anyone in any month that turned in a scorecard would also be eligible for monthly prize drawings. We targeted 3 communities, West Hill and the 2 neighboring communities of Arbor Hill and the South End. These are very challenged communities. These are often the communities that are an entry point for immigrants to upstate New York. These are also communities where there are groups that have lived for a long time, and they are also communities where there's often a lot of transition in housing. It is a very ethnically diverse community. 20% of the population is over age 65. Almost everyone is low income. And about 35% were below what we call the federal poverty line. And these are communities that are health disparity areas, that there is a disconnect between the level of need and the services that are being provided to people. There's also issues in these communities of crime. There are large numbers of children who've been designated as at risk, and a lot of shut-in older adults who just didn't leave their homes very much. What really worked in this community was, and for the Biggest Winner contest, was that we engaged with organizations to be partners in this campaign. They became the places where people could go to get information, to register, to participate in activities. We ended up with 238 people who committed to the 4 months and got their 30 points each month. But we probably had about 1,500 people who participated overall in activities held at the portal sites. We were highly successful in engaging people who are most at risk. For example, among our contestants, the diabetes rate was 24%, which is about 3 times the rate in the rest of New York State. And about a third of our participants smoked, which is higher, again, than sort of the typical rate in New York State. So this was not about getting people who were ready to make change and who didn't have a lot of change to make to be healthy. We were really targeting people who really needed these programs. We used evidence-based programs such as the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program. We built a workforce in the community, largely of volunteers, largely of people just like the people who were participating in the classes. We developed I can't say we developed, a sense of community really developed. We started seeing teams being formed at the sites, for example, walking clubs, groups who would go together to shop at the supermarket, and just teams of people who would work together and support each other in participating in the activities. We looked to link our existing organizations within the community with new ones to the neighborhood, for example, a food co-op, an Asian arts group, all of which were really working to support each other and to support the people in the community. But I think the most important thing that the Healthy Hearts on the Hill Coalition achieved was that when this work all started, a lot of people said, well, nothing's going to happen. Look at all the problems that this community has. You're not going to make a difference. And what really changed over time, and what the Biggest Winner contest helped us to highlight, was that the coalition was delivering. There were things happening. There was excitement about the competition. When we had that final event where we awarded the grand prize, it was standing room only in the hall that we were using. And we were using the largest hall that we could find in the community because it was important to us that it be in the community, that people see that this was something that was happening here and that it could happen. Some of the other benefits included that there were lots of personal stories among the people who participated that reflected extraordinary gains that they made in improving their health. And again, this was not something on a TV program or on an advertisement in the newspaper. These were people who you knew, who over the 4 months you saw walking much more, you saw had clearly lost weight, who could talk about how their A1Cs had gone down. And the other thing that we hoped for, but were impressed by, was that we saw people stepping up and volunteering to help each other. It wasn't just a case of, I'm going to do the activities. I want to help some of my neighbors participate in the activities as well. But it was that expectation of community change that we think was sort of one of the most important things that we did achieve, and which sort of helped to then sustain the activities that we had started. So we learned a lot of things during the project. Community organizing, changing a community is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of meetings. There's a lot of people to be talked to. There's a lot of challenges that will present themselves, and sometimes it'll feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But yet it's still very rewarding work. It's important that you build strong relationships within the community, between the different organizations. That's how sustainability happens. It's not about somebody new coming in and doing something really great. It's about a partnership. And it's about people having the time to work with the group of people that they serve around these issues as well. It's about identifying champions and advocates for your program, and it's thinking about sustainability in every decision that you make. You don't do for people, you do things with people. That's how you create a legacy. That's how things will be carried on after you leave. Joel Barker said that vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. And vision with action can change the world. So I'll add to that you have to start with a dream. And I think that that's what this conference is about. It's about stating the dream, stating the vision. The next step is action. And so I hope that in sort of what I presented, that you see how one community worked on action. And it's the combination of the dream of the vision with the action that can change the world. You start changing the world by changing one community at a time. And so I want to thank Father Thomas, and I want to thank the universities that have organized this conference, and I want to thank the organizing committee that invited me to present. And I hope in some small way I can help articulate the dreams and talk about how action with those dreams can change the world. Thank you.
Coming up, we have 3 parallel panel sessions relating to the field of health. In selecting the themes for each of the 3 panels, our team considered current issues and problems that today's health sector is facing. The worldwide COVID-19 pandemic has created increased challenges related to practices for good health, mental well-being, and the healthcare systems we have in countries across the world. We are extremely fortunate to have assembled an international group of health experts representing many countries for each of these panel discussion themes. First theme of our panel discussion is on mindfulness for health. Our moderator, Sophia J. Woodward, is from Nashville, Tennessee, US, a higher education professional, public school tutor, consultant, empowerment speaker, and image consultant. Joining her on this discussion is Mansoor Ahmed from India, Mr. Prasun Datta, Bangalore, India, Ms. Dr. Suja Isaac from Bangalore, India. Our second panel discussion is on healthcare disparities, and our moderator, Dr. Kevin Washington, is from Florida in Washington, D.C., an African-centered psychologist licensed in Florida and Washington, D.C. He is joined by Dr. Tiffany Bates from Louisiana Tech University, Mrs. Malati Murthy joins us from India, and Mrs. Shashikala from the field of psychology for 15 years of practice joins us from India. Our third panel discussion is on healthcare disparities. Our moderator for this session is Dr. Seema Rani from India, founder of Heal Your World, a globally certified counselor with a vast experience in marriage and family counseling. She is joined by Dr. Vishal Rao from HCG Cancer Center, Bangalore, India, Dr. Camillian Woodard from Grambling State University, LA, and Ms. Amudha Robert from Lancashire, UK. You will be introduced to each panel moderator and panel members when the 40-minute panel discussion of your choice begins momentarily.
Welcome to the Mindfulness in Health workshop. I am delighted that you were able to join us today. My name is Dr. Sophia J. Woodard. and I am excited to be your moderator for today. I am the founder, CEO, and well-being coach for Ashanti Truth, which is a women's wellness, well-being, higher ed consulting company located in Charlotte, North Carolina. Today, we will be talking about mindfulness. And mindfulness is an ancient holistic practice that is derived from sati, which is a state of constant awareness. That is an important element in the Buddhist tradition. It's based upon Zen, Vipassana, as well as Tibetan techniques. A great summary for mindfulness is this amazing quote that I love by the Buddha. And it says, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." I would like to introduce our panel today. And they are Mr. Mansoor Ahmed S., Dr. Prasan Dutta, and Dr. Suja Isaac. I'd like for each of them to introduce themselves just for a moment. We'll start with Mansoor.
Thank you, Ms. Woodward. Hello, everybody, and the listeners across the globe. I understand they're from 80 countries or more. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm from India, Bangalore. I'm responsible to raise resources, financials largely, using CSR, which is a law in India. And I raise funds across Pan-India, largely to empower rural communities. And the projects are designed inclusive in nature and integrate people with disability and women and children. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mansoor. Dr. Dutta.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Sophia. Thanks to all the panelists. So I'm Prasun from Bangalore, which is southern part of India. I basically take care about rural health development. I'm working as assistant project manager, Telered Foundation. My main work is provide health consultation to the rural health people. So we set up 2 clinics which cover almost 10 villages. And also we have set up teleconsultation where people need not to go out from their house. Sitting from their house, they can consult with the specialist doctor. This saves their time and this also build their confidence. I'm also taking care about conducting awareness camp, which is related to health and hygiene across these 10 villages. I have also set up teleconsultation projects for Pan-India for mainly truck driver communities and the painter communities. Wherever they are, if they are mobile, if they are stationary, they can call and they can take their teleconsultation. I've started my career as a sports physio where I was involved in rural sports development. I have majorly worked Northeastern India. And so far my experience as rural sports development and health development, I build a confidence that yes, mindfulness is effective in our day-to-day life. I must conclude my introduction. Trust yourself, believe yourself, enjoy yourself, and definitely respect yourself. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Dutta. We appreciate your introduction. Now, our final panelist, Dr. Suja Isaac.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be a panelist in today's mindfulness topic in health. I finished my doctorate in vitamin D supplementation, and I have been a lecturer, so I love teaching. I think communication is very important and key. And since for the last 22 years, I've been, along with my husband, who is a homeopathic doctor, Dr. Isaac Mathai, we run 3 different organizations. One is Saukya, which is an international holistic health center, and Sahaya, which extends the same kind of treatments to the masses. And we have a Saukya Foundation for the last 24 years that helps people even in the rural village. We have doctors in Ayurveda, homeopathy, yoga, and naturopathy in 3 systems of medicine. And in fact, we are India's first and maybe only NABH, which is a national accreditation in hospital and healthcare in these 3 systems of medicine. And we have guests from over 105 nationalities who come to us, and people come to us mainly through word of mouth. So we feel we have a different kind of clients, and therefore we feel that we treat people from royalty to the rural areas. So we cover the entire span of people using safe, traditional, time-tested medicine, which is good for health. And we believe it is important of intervention to work along with Western medicine. It is, and to work along with it, to be complementary, and to work as an integrated medicine. So that is our approach. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, panelists. We're looking forward to this morning's presentations and the opportunity to interface and interact with our audience. This is an exciting topic, especially in this time that we are in the world, where there are so many health-related challenges that are centered around anxiety and stress. So with that, I would like to share at this point, I am really excited about the opportunity to participate and to support this work that we are doing as health and wellness professionals, because this is an extraordinary time for us to be able to bring more wholeness to society and to the world at large. So I will be talking just for a few moments about how to practice mindful meditation to create a centered life, considering that so many people are in a state of unwellness, that I think being able to talk about how can one incorporate mindfulness as a holistic tool, as a holistic practice into your life to create a more centered, harmonious, and balanced life. So mindfulness is practiced in a lot of traditions. One of those traditions is the Christian Judeo tradition, and it's used in the context of sharing, of being able to be in a place of being still, talking about how do you center yourself. It connects you to whatever we consider as our divinity. It supports people who practice in this tradition in how to be more intentional about paying attention. It supports them in being singularly or focused only on one thing at a time. It opens them up to the idea of being exposed to or being awakened to the beauty of life, as opposed to the non-beauty of life. It helps to create a quiet mind. And also practiced in the tradition, it supports one in learning the art of gratitude. And so in the Buddhist tradition, which is where mindfulness actually originated, I love this quote and this description about mindfulness. And it is that it is a mirror thought. It reflects only what is happening in the now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but what is transpiring in the now, and that there are no biases in that place, and that's where you need to keep your focus. It teaches acceptance through the Buddhist tradition, also creates intentional living, and likewise with the Judeo-Christian practice, it also promotes gratitude. So how does, the real question, I believe, is how does mindfulness support our well-being? There are several ways. According to a Harvard University study from 2018, it identifies that mindfulness helps to reduce hypertension, and that it also ignites or activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which ultimately promotes releasing stress. And finally, it helps to bring clarity, and it supports anxiety, which is a very important element, particularly now in the 21st century. This is a great quote also by Thich Nhat Hanh. Every one of us already has the seed of mindfulness. It's about learning how to practice it. How do you cultivate and practice mindfulness in your life? So here are some tips some steps that you can actually incorporate into your life in order to practice mindfulness. And mindful meditation begins with creating your own sacred space, whatever that space might be. It could be outdoors, it could be in your bedroom, whatever space feels comfortable for you. Then choosing a quiet place and getting into the space of quietness. Choosing a comfortable space, whether it's sitting in a chair or sitting in the lotus position, and then beginning to take deep breaths, closing your eyes, centering the mind, and beginning to focus. And then being intentional about the breathing, because the breathing is so important, and being kind to yourself. And in that, the art of surrender. And whatever is one's authentic spirituality, surrender is always a part of that. What are the outcomes of mindfulness? It teaches us the art of surrender. It helps to create holistic and healthy tools that support us in developing our dreams. It teaches us how to nurture the soul, and it opens the gateway for us to be able to live fully and efficiently. And I will close with these two great quotes. In your divinity, your spirit, there is light. I learned to live, Rumi. And finally, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become, Carl Jung. And so I would like now to turn our attention to Mr. Mansour and offer you this opportunity to share with the audience. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you, Sophia.
You're welcome, Mansour.
Thank you. Since I think much has been said on what mindfulness is, the importance. So I would like just to start from a different perspective. Of course, I see this wonderful opportunity as a mindful learning, sharing, an opportunity to validate my belief and open if anybody wants to question my beliefs. I would like to start with acknowledging that I believe strongly that mindfulness has impacted my life and even benefited, immensely. For instance, just to give you a background, I was diagnosed with a disability because of a wrong injection, and it left me paralyzed at the age of 4. I was put in a wheelchair, sent to a regular school. As usual, even in developed countries, most mainstream schools do not accept children with disabilities. So you can just imagine 3 decades back what was the situation in India. So I was not accepted. I was sent. Fortunately, I was introduced to a special school, and there were many happy children. So I had a very happy life, and also I got rehabilitated with the help of therapy and probably some mindful therapist who made me believe that I can stand on my legs again and walk. Until I had to move again to a mainstream school. Unfortunately, the mainstream school again was not inclusive enough, and I had a lot of challenges, especially extracurricular activities and other engagements. Of course, the intention of teachers would have been caring, compassion, maybe a little bit of sympathy, which I might not like it, but that's a reality. And I was left alone in the classroom, just to stare from the little window when the children were playing. And obviously, what happens when you're alone? You wonder, you start thinking, why it's only me? And I think that was the first time I experienced and the difference a little negatively, and probably started even feeling ashamed of my body and started hating myself, which obviously resulted in anger, depression, and finally impacted on my academics. Fast forward few years, of course, I think luckily I came across a book on the street. I think I just paid less than a penny in Indian rupees. But I think that the book I carry still, I really wish I just showed you, but I'm sure the book is from Dale Carnegie, which talks about positive mindset, maybe gratitude, and how to see the half glass full rather than half glass empty, right? And I think it helped me until, and I did really well in my career until the second event, which happened was 2 years ago, a rare virus, Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a rare condition of neurological condition, which left me again completely paralyzed and back to wheelchair again. But I think this time it was even more difficult because I was married, 2 little kids. As we all know, the responsibility of parents and the dreams we have as parents to see and support the little one and nurturing the little ones, right? So it was same with me as any parent, lot of dreams. And here I am back on the wheelchair with no hope, depressed, lonely, and also thoughts of attempting suicide. Because I think when you're alone, especially when you have experts saying that it's a very rare condition where actually the doctor said it would take me 3 years to recover. And so it was very obvious and also a huge financial implication because it was a rare condition. So obviously it brought a lot of financial burden. I was going through, like I just said, a lot of pain. And maybe I also want to highlight why people attempt suicide. I think it is less painful to sometimes to end your life than experiencing the pain of your thoughts when you're alone.
Yes.
Right. So I now have compassion and really understand why there's an increasing number of suicidal cases across the globe, especially in our country. In fact, the report says men attempt more suicide than women, unfortunately, in India. Right. So whatever the gender is, but the fact is the increasing number of suicides. And I really understand because I was very close, or probably just a step ahead, right, away. And fortunately, for the second time, I suddenly remembered a yogi who introduced me to meditation. I think I would slightly like to also differ the meditation practices, which are largely practiced, which is in a silent room, which was obviously not a very silent room because I had a huge, I come from a Muslim family, and generally the Indian Muslim families, most of the families are quite large, especially when you're not well. You have a lot of love, care, and people often visit you. So there was obviously a lot of disturbance. So I was also, came across someone gave me some Arabic chants, which is called zikr. And because I'm an Indian Muslim, I don't understand what it meant. So I did a further research, and it was nothing but positive affirmation, gratitude, right? So that made sense. And in addition,
and that ties
breathing.
into, excuse me, Mr. Mansour, that ties into the conversation from earlier about gratitude.
Gratitude, exactly.
Your story is, your life story is extraordinary and amazing. And I applaud everything that you have been courageous enough to share. I would like to make sure, though, that we are able to communicate and allow our other 2 panelists to have an opportunity. Okay. So is there anything final that you would like to say?
Sure. I think as per researchers, there are at least 7 million bits of information the mind processes, and only 60 bits it can process, which means multitasking is not a reality, and mindful is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mansour. Thank you for being very transparent. Your story is very inspiring, and I believe will really help some of our audience members who may be going through similar kinds of health challenges and understand the power of mindfulness to support them in working through the experiences that they are having with their health.
Sure.
Dr. Dutta, you're very welcome. Dr. Dutta.
Hi. So as much everything said by Sophia, so I'd like to add one thing. Mindfulness, it's a concept of acceptance, compassion, and detachment. So mindfulness, it's a very secular practice and which is very easily accessible to all of us. We can practice this alone. If we want, we can practice this as a group, or we can attend any class. So I must say there was a research meta-analysis done by Hoffman and Associates in the year of 2010. They were concluding a process on mindfulness-based cognitive therapy and mindfulness-based anxiety control. And they successfully concluded that yes, mindfulness has a great effect on altering in the cognitive therapy and stress reduction in many clinical conditions.
Yes.
We are open for everybody. So if there is any questions, we're ready to address.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Dr. Dudha. We appreciate your input and your expertise today. Dr. Suja,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you.
Yeah. I think it's a very relevant topic today, mindfulness as regards health, both physical and mental health. The very fact that the word mindfulness itself, is defined as is a practice of paying attention in the present
Yes,
moment. So
that's
be in
right.
the moment so that we can pay attention to the detail. Because when you're in the moment, you're able to do any task, even with clarity, with concentration, and you do it far more effectively than if you have a cluttered mind. So therefore, it is
Yes,
important to draw one's thoughts into what one is doing at the moment, whatever the task may be, whether it is in walking or eating or exercising or speaking or paying attention in a classroom. The mindfulness is very essential to be able to give your 100% to the entire process that you are involved in at the moment. I would say that in terms of mindfulness, different ways of helping that from the systems of medicine that we talk about. The reason being, we want to achieve a state of mind where we are calm, we are at peace, we are still, we are
yes,
composed. Because when we reach that state, we are then able to think with clarity. We're able to pay attention. We're able to think of it, in a holistic way. And I think it's also important when we talk about a holistic approach to mindfulness,
yes.
it's not only just the attention to detail, but it's also the awareness of the whole. So we should not forget the whole
Yes.
picture when we talk
Oh,
about being, concentrating on the details. So I think mindfulness that way is, as far as the mind is concerned. I would also like to share about, being mindful of all our senses, whether it's our eyes, what we see. See, there's a lot of toxicity in the world in terms of,
yes,
we're talking about pollution in the air or food,
that's right.
which is adulterated, therefore the pollution, water, the kind of levels of pollution in water. So if we, and in terms of even reading, what we read, what we see, we have a lot of information. We have a huge information, we are the younger generations, and as we have experienced, there's so much of an information overload through media, through WhatsApp, through Facebook, through social
There
media.
is. There
I
is.
think it's
Yes.
important to also be able to decide what we want to see, what we want to read, what news we want. Do we want to clutter ourselves with a lot of toxic information which is irrelevant to us?
That's right.
That doesn't help in being positive, in gathering our thoughts and being composed. So I think what we see,
Yes.
what we smell, being mindful of the smells that we have. Very often we've seen that when we grow up, sometimes, the smell of maybe your grandma baking a cake or your mother baking a
That's
cake,
right.
you're
That's
able,
right.
you're able to recall that same feeling
Yes.
that you had when you are
Yes.
related to the smell. Again, the moment you smell a cake another time, you're reminded of your grandmother. So there's a lot of connectivity with your senses and being mindful of the situation. So when we have been kind of exposed, so in terms of the smell, in terms of what we want to hear, I think, just listening to calm music, just, whether listening to gossip, all of this is not necessary. We are trying to aim to achieve, to be positive, to be uncluttered in our head. And so therefore we have to use tools that can help us be mindful, be calm. So the way, what we speak, when you're talking about the mouth, not only what we eat, but I think what we speak, we have to be mindful of. In this world, sometimes something said inappropriately may hurt the sentiments of another person. So I think it is very important to be mindful of what we speak wisely. Likewise, what goes in, the food, or what you eat and drink is also important. Be mindful of what you eat. You just pay attention, it's just the thought of the gratitude of having food on our plate itself is a mindfulness while you're eating, to make sure that we don't waste food. There's so many people there's so many children who are hungry, so many people who are hungry. So we need to appreciate what we have on our plate, be mindful of what we eat, be able to taste the different senses, whether it's the bitter, salt, sweet, sour, pungent, be
That's
able
right.
to feel. be the moment
Dr. Suja.
whether you exercise,
Yes.
we can achieve it through some of the tools that we can use is yoga, meditation, pranayama with breathing to
Dr.
be
Suja,
more centered. And
thank
also
you so much.
treatments with the Shirodhara, which help us be calm and composed. So there are several very traditional and time-tested natural healing techniques which one can use as tools to help one achieve to be mindful. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suja. That was just a wonderful pericope on how we can incorporate mindfulness into our lives and really giving tools around what are some best practices for utilizing mindfulness in our lives, because that's actually, one of our questions from our audience. I'd like to start with our very first question, but you've already addressed one of those questions through your extraordinary conversation. And that is, how do we practice mindfulness? That was one of our very first questions that has just come from the audience. You've already addressed that question, Dr. Suja. Would anyone like to add to that?
I would like to
okay, Dr. Dutta, yes.
As Dr. Suja says, I would like to segregate furthermore in two parts. One is self-actualization and second one is meditation. In self-actualization is nothing but pay attention, accept yourself, live the moment, focus on breathing, pay attention. Whenever you are eating, as Dr. Suja said, feel the food. You love the taste, you love the smell. Accept yourself. You must treat yourself as you're treating your best friend, as you're treating your best hobbies. Live the moment. You should find joys in simple pleasures. Focus on breathing. Whenever you are in negative thinking, you must sit somewhere and do breathe in, breathe out. You should feel the air and goes into your body and coming out. This will give a positive turnout energy to yourself. Now the meditation. I would like to divide the meditation in one is body scan meditation, second sitting meditation, third walking meditation, and movement meditation. Movement meditation is nothing but Tai Chi, yoga. Body scan meditation, just lie on a flat surface facing upward towards the sky. Close your eyes, feel your each joint, breathe in, breathe out, feel the positivity of the moment. Walking meditation, find a wide space of 15 to maybe 20 feet. Walk, think positive, enjoy each step you are taking, enjoy the breathing. Similarly, sitting meditation, sit in one place, cross your leg, keep your palm on your lap, deep breathe in, breathe out through your nose, feel positivity. So that's all the continuation with Dr. That questions how the practice of the mindfulness. Thank you.
Thank you, Dutta. That was very helpful because it is important for the audience to know what are the various types of mindfulness. How can people incorporate those types of mindfulness, which you have articulated, into their daily practice? And so with that, what is the role or what is the importance, I should say, this is one of our questions, on mindfulness in terms from a psychological intervention perspective? In other words, why has mindfulness had more importance in this present age, in our 21st century age? We are seeing that more and more and more every day in the context of psychological intervention. Are there any panelists that would like to speak to that just for a moment?
Yeah, Suzanne. Yeah.
Mansoor?
Yeah, Dr. Suja, would you like to go ahead?
Oh, no, please go ahead.
All right. I think while the very tool we are interacting, technology being the number one reason, while I would not like to blame it, but I think there are things like notifications which we can just switch it off when we don't need. For instance, I have switched off right now when it's important to be mindful, listening to the speakers, right? So similarly, I think the usage of technology and the information being so much being downloaded, like Dr. Suja was highlighting, the toxic information, and not just toxic information, but any kind of information. I think and that has, I think, resulted in a lot of distraction, which is directly impacting on our health and well-being, relationship, and our social interactions. I'm sure we go for a anniversary, but we are on the on WhatsApp or Skype, right? Because we are not fully aware and attentive. So I think that is why we are more distracted, and we are practicing distraction more than ever, and that is why. Thank you.
That's an excellent point. Dr. Suja, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to add that I think in today's
Mansoor.
age, like as I mentioned earlier, and what Mr. Mansoor mentioned, apart from the the amount of social media that we are involved with because of possibly a need, we need to be selective in it. But I think it's also important, apart from that, in today's age, what is relevant is to get enough sleep, enough exercise, to give attention to all aspects, and not just about every aspect that is required for a healthy lifestyle. I think that is important to have pay attention to everything. And when you're talking about in terms of psychological well-being, I think one has a limited, like in our 24 hours, we need certain hours of sleep, certain hours of exercise, certain hours to do our work. And if we do not prevent this overload, the mind is going to get so bogged down with a whole lot of information to be trying to decipher what to take, what not to take, to filter it. So just limit ourselves to what is required. There may be many things politically happening around the world. I don't think that is going to impact our lives and our work and business, whatever. We take care of what we need to take care of. And I think if the time that we spend of being mindful of what we need to do, I think that itself will bring a lot of psychological sanity to ourselves.
So that ties into one of the questions that an audience member just asked, and that is, how do you stay unbothered about things that are not important in the context of mindfulness? And what you've just shared about being focused on what's important for you, how to stay in the place of centeredness, how to stay in that space, the mental space of being connected to what is your truth. That would be my language. And I think also, which is a piece that we haven't talked a lot about, is love. How to stay in the place, in the consciousness of love, because love is not just an outward expression or verbal expression, but I believe that it's also a way of being connected and tapped into your divinity, into your spiritual consciousness, and into your spiritual truth. And that supports us as humans because that's what we come from. We come from source. Being able to operate in this sense of alignment and balance and harmoniousness of thought that is, as you spoke about earlier, is challenging, because as Mansoor said, there are so many distractions every day, all the time. We are just inundated by a series of distractions, from technology to noise to all kinds of things, situations and circumstances on jobs, all of those things. So the next question that that one of the members, an audience member, has provided is, how do we get in touch with each panelist? They would like to know that, as we are now beginning to bring our series to an end. We have about 12 minutes left, so we're still good. But perhaps each of you can provide your information, your contact information, so that the audience can have access to that and be able to reach out to you. If you have websites, if you have other links, LinkedIn, whatever that information may be, that it would be very, very helpful as we are now beginning to share that. So with that, I'd like to ask, how does one control, this is a very important and insightful question, how does one control the thoughts that are brought on by the pandemic? Now there's a hot topic, so that our health does not suffer. Would anyone like to share your thoughts about how to do management, mental management around the pandemic. Mansoor?
Yeah, I think I would like to share something which is very practical, which I did. I hope it would be useful. As I mentioned, I'm a fundraiser, and during pandemic, we are required to raise more resources than ever, right? However, as an individual, I was going through the same mental thoughts like anybody else. What if I lose the job? Because NGOs are actually on the line more than any other sector, right? Because we are hugely dependent on the resources from the corporates and external resources.
Mansoor,
The few
excuse me
things I
one
did
second.
is
Could those be
number
your
one, I
closing
started
remarks?
volunteering.
Mansoor, would you make that, pardon me, a part of your closing
Yeah.
remarks? We are,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Sure. So number one, I started volunteering, right? So I got the opportunity to give back to the community. So I forgot my own challenges. And the second, I started writing down as though I interact with a friend and what would be some of the suggestions I would like to give to Mansoor, which is myself. So these are the two practical steps which helped me. Thank you.
So great. Those are great. Those are great. Thank you for sharing, Mansoor. Those are absolutely great. The volunteering is a key. Thank you so much. Dr. Dutta, would you like to share some closing remarks with us?
Mindfulness, it has a great addition. I must say it has a great addition in traditional cardiac care, and also controlling our daily life stress and mood disturbance. We must practice mindfulness as part of our essentiality in our daily life, like eating, breathing. We must give ourselves, because we first need to learn how we should love ourselves. Once we start loving ourselves, we can serve for the nation, serve for the people. So I must say thank you to each one of you. I'm also available in LinkedIn if anybody would like to ask me any further question from across the globe, students or anyone. I'm open to give answer. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you, Dr. Dutta. Dr. Isaac, any closing comments?
Yeah, I think as a closing remark, what I would like to share is maybe it's easy and helpful if we can take a break and just think about inside and think about what are our aims and goals in life. What are the present goals? What are the short-term goals, long-term goals, and focus on how we need to achieve it. We don't need to worry what X and Y is doing. We just need to and be worried about how do I keep up with X or how do I keep up with Y. We just need to be concerned and focus on what we want and what is our passion and follow our goal, and therefore take steps which I think everyone can sit through and analyze what they need to reach and how they need to reach it, and just stay focused on achieving them. So therefore you're all in achieving your goals. And I think that kind of helps in being mindful, and during this pandemic, not worry about other issues and not even worry about the pandemic in the sense, because there is nothing, by worrying, it doesn't help get rid of the virus, for example. So let's not worry about things that we cannot deal with. So let's do what we can do and help ourselves. And like the serenity prayer, I mean, let's have the courage to do what we can do to change things, and the serenity to accept what we cannot change. So let's focus on what we can do is my thought that I would like to share. And as you asked earlier, we can reach me on the Saukya website, which is www.soukya.com. So an email sent there would reach me. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the panel. And I hope what I was able to share was of some help to somebody who has been listening. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Suja. Thank you for your expertise and your willingness to offer exceptional insights and your expertise, really, from an academic perspective about how to help people be able to live a more fulfilling life. Because I think at the end of the day, everything that we've talked about as a panel is centered on helping others, including ourselves, but helping others to be able to find their center, their balance in life, and being able to live in the fullness of life, living in the fullness of life. Dr. Dutta, would you like to share your contact information, please?
I have already shared. I have already shared. I'm available in LinkedIn. Same name, Prasun Datta Chaudhary. Anyone can send me a request, can join, and we can take this thing forward. I think me and Mr. Mansoor are already in touch through LinkedIn. And
would you spell that, please, Dr. Duda, so that for those who may not have heard you clearly?
LinkedIn, Prasun Datta Chaudhary in LinkedIn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Mansoor, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Do you have contact information that you'd like to share?
Yeah, and if that's okay, if I just share a quick tool, especially in the time of crisis, right? Of course, I'm available on LinkedIn, and I hope it was helpful. Just a quick tool, because there was one of the questions which asked, do we need to set aside separate time for mindfulness or meditation? I practice something called 3x3, which is identify 3 objects, take a deep breath, name the object, and inhale and exhale out. And you can just do 3 times during the day. And as we know, we take 20,000 breaths, and you can just do this anywhere, in any environment, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Mansoor. And the breathing technique that you shared ties into mindfulness. That's one of the techniques of mindfulness. And getting into the space of mindfulness is about breathing. The importance of proper deep breathing and getting into that space where you are in tune with your breath. Dr. Duda, you have?
Yes, I just want to add something, which I
just a moment, Dr. Isaac. Dr. Duda was speaking. Just a moment.
In continuation with Mansoor sir's suggestion, so practicing mindfulness has a great effect in our autonomous nervous system by inducing relaxation. So I think that was a great suggestion by Mr. Mansoor. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I may add, in the context of world peace, I think with so much that we hear about going on, I think being mindful about being spiritual, rather, yes, religion is important for each of us, our personal belief, but I think fundamentally we are all children of God. And if we are just mindful of being spiritual and being a good human being, I think that is most important, across all religion, caste, creed, whatever. So I think that is also an important thing for world peace.
It is. It is. I'd like to thank all of our panelists today for all of your contributions, for the insights that you've shared, the techniques and the tips, as well as your own personal story, particularly you, Mansoor, for you to be courageous enough to share the life experience and really how you have been able to take mindfulness as well as some other techniques, because we know that mindfulness is just one practice, one holistic practice among many other holistic practices that we can use to live in a healthy space in the world. So I would like to thank all of the panelists for your expertise, for your time, for your intimate sharing, for your willingness to articulate some experiences that you've had and how our audience can ultimately utilize mindfulness practices to help improve, expand, strengthen, restore, and most of all, empower their lives. I appreciate you. And if anyone would like to contact me, please feel free to reach me at Ashanti Truth. It's all lowercase, ASHANTI @yahoo.com. Thank you again, panelists, and I hope that everyone will continue to enjoy the rest of the panelists and the workshops that we have today. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome to our Unsung Hero celebration. Likely, Most will agree that common characteristics of heroes, including admirable qualities such as bravery, courage, determination, moral integrity, selflessness, empathy, and servant leadership, just to name a few. Oftentimes, a hero is admired and recognized for great and brave acts. Literature is replete with examples of many kinds of heroes, such as the mythological Greek hero Hercules, known for his strength and courage, and the non-fictional hero Florence Nightingale, known for her leadership and compassion and care for suffering patients. And who among us has not heard of fictional heroes such as Superman and Wonder Woman, both of whom exhibit superhuman strength and strong moral character? Yes, we have many examples of heroes across cultures. But what does it mean to be an unsung hero? As heroes, oftentimes they exhibit moral courage, determination, selflessness, empathy, and servant leadership qualities, similar to those of their more celebrated counterparts. However, unsung heroes typically go undetected in their communities. They fly beneath the radar. Unsung heroes are people who do extraordinary things for others without seeking or anticipating credit, reward, or recognition. The Let Us Dream Conference is grounded in the value of volunteerism, specifically performing selfless acts of service, of community improvement and empowerment. Or, as Archbishop Desmond Tutu would say, so simply say, doing little bits of good. Therefore, it seems highly relevant that we have chosen to honor individuals who reflect this value in their everyday lives, without expecting acknowledgement of what they do, for they do it from their heart. According to the late great American poet Maya Angelou, if you find it in your heart to care for somebody else, you will have succeeded. It is this measure of success that so clearly aligns with the values that underpin this conference, and it is why we are profoundly grateful for the opportunity to have you join us this year in the celebration of our unsung heroes.
In the year, I think 1999 or 2000, decided to jump into the fray and start community work even though we had no experience. We decided to come and settle down in Bangalore, and that's how we registered this trust called Swabhiman. Swabhiman today, in the last 18 to 19, 20 years of its existence, we started off by adopting 15 girl children who are now all grown up and very well settled in life. Then we started working with schools where we taught English initially. We went on to hire teachers on our payroll. Then we started charity clinics. We run a fairly large interest-free microfinance activity. We run a very large educational scholarship. There are youth and women empowerment programs that we run. There are youth soft skill training programs that we give. We also run a fairly large food distribution program that supports about 2,000 people almost every single day, and run a grocery activity which delivers 1,000 families in that community groceries every month. So all this happened one by one, and that we kept addressing the needs in the community. The slum that we work with, which is the Rajendranagar slum, is one of the largest in Bangalore. And as we felt the need for various things at different points in time, we started the programs one after the other. And thank God that all these programs are flourishing and doing exceptionally well. Swabhiman, for a good number of its community activities, depends largely on the youth volunteers from the community. A majority of them are semi-literate or illiterate youth in the community who drive a bulk of our programs. So many years ago, about 10 years ago, we were doing a few things in the community like working with schools, having a couple of our clinics, and a small set of activities. One evening at about 7 o'clock, when I had finished my work and I was walking back through the slum with a set of volunteers, one young man by name Khader, an exceptionally poor boy himself with a couple of children and was struggling to make his two ends meet, I saw him holding a couple of food packets in his hand. Now this was a time that we were struggling to serve 50 meals in that community. We used to cook food ourselves because we were realizing that there was some amount of people who were going hungry there. So when I saw the food packets in his hand and I asked him as to Khader, what is this food packet? He told me that, sir, for the last couple of years, every day when I cook food at home or my wife cooks food at home, she lets me pack 2 meals and I deliver it to a couple of destitute women who sleep under a staircase in a building. And I was very intrigued. Khader, who himself is very poor and just about manages to give his children 2 square meals, how could he do this? So when I went along and met these women, and they were absolutely destitute and they were waiting for Khader's hot meals. After he served the meals, I asked Khader, I said, when you yourself are making it so difficult for your family to, make 2 ends meet, how do you serve food to others? His answer is what changed a lot of our activities and my life forever in that community. He told me, sir, if my parents were alive, would I not have given them 2 meals every day? So I now believe that whenever my wife cooks, these 2 additional meals are meant for my parents, and those are the 2 meals that I pack and deliver these destitute women. That day I realized that when Khader can manage to serve 2 people in the community every single day on his own, can I not drive a program to feed a large number of hungry people in the community, mostly senior citizens, widowed women with little children, so on and so forth. So a program that started 10 years ago with 50 meals serves almost 2,500 meals every single day. This is one such life-changing experience, though I can narrate very many more, but this is one of those very, very touching ones. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Enes Banda. I do work with the Malawi Children's Mission Organization, which is a local non-profit organization working with orphaned as well as vulnerable children. I would like to share with you some information relating to the program that I'm working with. I do work as a coordinator for the Young Women's Initiative program. But before I tell you a lot on the Young Women's Initiative, I would like to take this time to appreciate those who are involved in choosing members to take part in the upcoming Let Us Dream International Conference. I felt honored to be recognized as one of the people that are doing work that is impacting the community. Thank you very much. Now coming to the Young Women's Initiative program, this is an initiative that was put in place in 2015 by the Malawi Children's Mission Organization. There were a number of reasons why this initiative came into existence. Previously, the organization has been experiencing huge numbers of girls dropping out of the system due to teen pregnancies as well as early marriages. So as a way of trying to keep the girls in school, the initiative came into place. We have 45 girls currently in the program, and their ages range from 12 to 22. We hold 2 meetings each week, but we also hold special meetings 1 Saturday a month. Our weekly meetings are based much on teaching the girls topics related to their education, health, as well as life skills. Whilst the Saturday meetings are much focused on mentoring the girls, during these Saturday meetings, we do invite ladies as guest speakers, especially those ladies who have gone through the similar kind of backgrounds as our girls, but have made it in life. We want them to motivate our girls that no matter what the circumstances are, they are still standing a chance of becoming independent in the future if they work hard on their education. So initially, that is the main reason why this initiative came into place. We just want our girls to grow into independent but also responsible members of the society. So working with these girls just reminded me of where I'm coming from. I saw myself in them and I was really happy to work with them, to encourage them, to motivate them, because I could see that they are standing a better chance of becoming better people in the future, because they are belonging to an organization, yet I did not have that chance. So to me, I felt like if they are just given encouragement, if they are mentored, if they are like exposed, believe you me, they have each and every chance of becoming better people in their societies. So yeah, after graduating in 2017, I was given a chance to continue working with these girls as a coordinator for the Young Women's Initiative Program. I'm happy to be working with these girls, and I enjoy spending time with them and doing whatsoever we're doing with them. I have huge expectations on them. I believe that they will be notable people, great people in the coming years. People graduating from the Young Women's Initiative Program, becoming great in the society, and also taking the responsibility to mentor some other girls that are coming, be it in the organization or maybe in different areas in Malawi.
Renuka Jagannath is a computer engineer who limits herself in the field of technology and pursues her interest in social work. Because of this, she became a voice to the voiceless and a brainchild of UDID NGO, which aims to explore the world and provide a bunch of love, care, and support. UDID, Youth Undertaking Developed India Dream, is a non-governmental organization founded in 2018 in Bangalore. It comprises highly disciplined and well-qualified like-minded people who have been a leading change maker in creating awareness in education, governmental policies, cleanliness program, supporting food relief. It has targeted setting up camps, building community halls, bus stands, and necessary facilities in India's rural region. Recently, it met tremendous attainment while conducting a quiz competition aiming to raise a considerable amount of money for serving the needy in COVID-19. These days, it has been doing awareness programs like mental health, coloring, painting, interviewing with doctors going virtual. Finally, it believes in giving back the portion of what we have earned. As its main motto is, let the change flow. Chandni Ravi is the Deputy Director at Ernakulam Medical Center, a family-run multi-specialty hospital in Kochi. She graduated in Electronics and Communication from Cochin University. 2017, July 17th, her life took a spin. While she was doing her PhD, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She was determined to keep her husband and her 2 little children together, and for this, she had to take care of herself mentally, physically, and spiritually. The day she was declared cancer-free, she started Pink Sari Sisters, an online support group for Indian women diagnosed with cancer. Group's primary goal was to keep families together. She would go to towns' remote parts to teach children. Most kids are from challenged backgrounds, drugs, broken families, and low socio-economic backgrounds. She helps sell the produce of one orphanage and distribute in a needy orphanage elsewhere, supporting cancer patients and their carers. Sustainable Menstruation Care Collective, SMKC, brings together educators, practitioners, activists, youth, and organizations to open up missing dialogues on menstrual rights and equality. They run online and offline outreach with their members to offer mentorship to young educators, collaborate for policy advocacy, and facilitate knowledge sharing in menstrual health care and sustainability practices. Their collective remains committed to holding open, safe, and informal spaces for women, girls, trans and intersex persons, for informed exploration of menstruation beyond taboo and with reason, as well as engage non-menstruating allies for creating support systems. Mr. Vinod Kumar is an academician by profession, works as an assistant professor at a university. He teaches accounts and finance. He is the founder of the Good Quest Foundation, a registered non-profit charitable trust working for the empowerment of underprivileged and marginalized society, with the vision to seek the lost and empower them. Vinod and his small team of enthusiasts are determined to get a tangible change in the derived classes' lives. He works among the slum dwellers, juveniles in remand homes and young prisoners, transgender people, refugees, orphans, needy, and tribals. One of the core areas where Vinod is focusing on is disaster and pandemic relief work. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, Vinod's contribution to the society in providing relief amidst the distress is extraordinary.
I would like to now introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty, Chairman Narayana Hrudyalaya, Bangalore, Karnataka. A cardiac surgeon of repute and a successful entrepreneur, Dr. Shetty is a highly respected luminary for his ingenious ideas for reforms in healthcare sector. His visionary leadership to make quality healthcare affordable for all has drawn global recognition. Treading the path of economics of scale to bring down the cost of healthcare delivery, Narayana Hrudyalaya has been an interesting case study for the likes of Harvard University and the Wall Street Journal. In association with the government of Karnataka, Dr. Shetty pioneered Yashaswini, a very inexpensive micro-health insurance scheme benefiting more than 3.5 million rural poor. Dr. Shetty is the current chairman, Board of Governors, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. He has also served as a member, Board of Governors of Medical Council of India and representative of President of India in the Board of Governors of Indira Gandhi National Open University. The Government of India, state governments, trade bodies, and global policy think tanks invite him regularly for discussions on healthcare policies. He was part of an International Advisory Group, a strategic advisory platform invited by Japan's Center for International Exchange to address the global health agenda under Japan's G20 leadership during 2019-2020. A strong advocate of technology for efficient healthcare delivery, Dr. Shetty takes deep interest in creating and developing software products and applications to achieve time and cost efficiency while minimizing clinical errors in healthcare delivery. Dr. Shetty is the recipient of several prestigious awards, including the Padma Bhushan, Padma Shri, the Economist Innovation Award, Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Financial Times Accelerator Mittal Boldness in Business Award, Nickel Asia Prize for Economic and Business Innovation. He has also been awarded honorary doctorate from University of Minnesota, University of Mysore and IIT Madras.
Ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has changed this world forever. Today, I'm sitting in our health city. We have 4 hospitals in one campus. There are close to 400 COVID-19 patients in our campus in a separate building. Over 100 of them are in the critical care unit. Nearly 300 of our doctors, nurses, technicians are already infected with COVID. I wish and pray to God that the number of COVID patients will come down. However, if it continues like this for some more time, we may not have doctors, nurses, and technicians to take care of the patients. We are optimistic. Number is coming down, especially in city of Bangalore and in Delhi and few places where we have hospitals. We have seen numbers coming down. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Now, let me talk to you for the next few minutes about exciting things, what can be done to transform the global healthcare. I would like to ask you a question. If you are the Health Minister of India and you are given every right to change anything what you want, what is it you will do to transform the healthcare of India and of course global healthcare? But you are allowed to do only one thing. What is that one thing? That one thing is removing the pen and paper from the hands of doctors, nurses, and medical technicians and give them a digital tool which is smart. If we can do that successfully, believe me, healthcare will become safer for the patients. It will become affordable for the patients, and it will also become accessible to the patients. All we need to do is to come up with a smart digital tool. Just replacing the paper and a pen with a dumb digital tool is not going to make any difference. But a smart digital tool will make a difference. I strongly believe that a smart software can make smarter diagnosis than doctors within the next 3 to 5 years. And I am convinced within 7 to 10 years' time, it will become legally mandatory for every doctor to get the second opinion from the software before starting the treatment. It is going to happen. Why I am so confident that smart software can make smarter diagnosis than doctors. Now let's look at diagnosis. When a doctor like me makes a diagnosis, how many diseases are prevalent in medical practice? I'm not talking about esoteric diseases which are diagnosed only by the machines. I'm talking about in my clinical practice. Generally, there are not more than 2,500 diseases what we commonly encounter. This is not infinite. This data is finite. And how do we diagnose? We diagnose it by listening to the patient's complaints. This is called, in medical terms, it is called symptoms. irrespective of how fussy your patient is, he or she cannot complain to you more than 650 complaints or symptoms. Then, as a doctor, I examine the patient and we elicit findings like, okay, the patient is jaundiced or is anemic or there is a swelling. These are called signs. Generally, we elicit about 510 signs. Then we send the blood tests, urine tests, sputum tests, all kinds of tests. Generally, there are about 2,500 tests. We get the data of about 2,500 lab reports. And then we look at the images, X-ray, ultrasound, CTs, MRI. Generally about 450, 500 varieties of images. To diagnose the patient's problem, all we have to do is to put the signs, symptoms, lab tests and images together, analyze it and come up with the diagnosis. Believe me, the software in your mobile phone can do that for you. It's a matter of time. I keep talking about hospitals not safe for the patients. Everyone thinks if you're unwell, hospitals are the safest places for the patients. But that is not true. Let's look at American hospitals. American hospitals are perhaps the safest hospitals on the planet. If 200 patients get admitted to an American hospital, spend just one night, 1 in 200 dies due to medical error. Getting admitted to an American hospital is 10 times riskier than skydiving. Why hospitals are not safe? It's because doctors and nurses do not follow the protocol sometimes. Why? Because protocol is written down, it's all available in a nicely bound files, but that's all in a cupboard. If this protocol-based software is the only matrix on which healthcare is delivered, believe me, we can virtually eliminate medical errors. According to British Medical Journal, medical error is the third leading cause of death in United States of America. Next question is, if digital tool is that important to deliver healthcare, why this is not available to everyone? You will be surprised and shocked to hear that nearly over 80% to 85% of the hospitals in this world do not have electronic medical records. Most hospitals do not even have hospital management system. If they have a hospital management system, they do not have an electronic medical record. Some hospitals may have an electronic medical record. They may even have a hospital management system, but they don't talk to each other. They are supplied by different vendors. This is the problem. And the biggest problem is some of the very good so-called most modern electronic medical records used by hospitals in US are worth millions and millions or billions. Yes, they are worth billions of dollars. Now one would think that an electronic medical record, which is worth millions and billions, will dazzle the doctors. Doctors are so happy to use it, they should celebrate. But that is not the reality. Unfortunately, electronic medical records are one of the common reasons for doctors' burnout in the United States. It is so badly designed and so difficult to use, doctors hate them. If they spend 1 hour with the patient in examining, they have to spend another 2 hours in entering the patient's data. There is something dramatically wrong somewhere. If EMRs worth millions and billions are not the ones which doctors enjoy using. Now let's ask a question. What do the doctors want? How do they want the electronic medical record to be built and designed? There are a few fundamental principles. First fundamental principle is, when you design electronic medical records for the doctors, that shouldn't have a keyboard, because doctors are not designed by God to type. So the electronic medical record should work only by touch. The second requirement is, if you are going to give an electronic medical record with the instruction manual, with a request to the doctor that he has to spend 76 hours of training how to use the electronic medical record, like what happens with $1 million worth electronic medical records from US. Believe me, no doctor is going to use it. First thing they will do is to throw your instruction manual out of the window, and he will never use your electronic medical record. Electronic medical record for the doctor should be intuitive. Like how we do many things in our mobile phone. Most of the mobile phones, smartphones, do not come with the instruction manual. Just by intuition, we know how to use it. That is the way EMR has to be designed. The next important quality of a EMR is it must be built on a mobile platform, and doctors can view it in their own mobile phone. Why mobile phone? It's because you want the best care for your patient. Doctor's attention should be drawn to the patient regularly. Doctors across the world look at the desktop 5 to 10 times in a day, but they look at their mobile phone screen 200 times in a day, at least. So if you design your electronic medical record so that the doctor can see the patient records, wherever he is, many times in a day, patient will get the best care. And one of the most important requirement of us with the digital medical record is that it should be affordable. It should be affordable by every hospital on the planet. With that in mind, we have toiled for more than 10 years in developing an electronic medical record which is smart, which is mobile, which is affordable, which is intuitive. So we came up with the concept of Atma, which is the hospital management system, the Adi, which is like an electronic medical record, then Meda, which is an analytic tool. And our aim is to make sure that these modern electronic medical records, hospital management system, will be available to any hospital on the planet, especially developing countries, at a price what they can afford. Now, what is a price what a hospital can afford? We believe that no hospital can afford to buy the EMR. It is too expensive. But they can all use it on a pay-per-use model. They pay a fixed amount per patient per day. Now, what is that amount what they can afford? We believe that if we can charge the hospital the price of one disposable plastic syringe per patient per day, this is the amount of money hospitals can afford to pay. Because we know that when the finance team of the hospital do the costing of a procedure, they do not add the price of a disposable plastic syringe because it is too small to be added. If we can keep it at that price and constantly keep upgrading it, updating it, we believe that within the next few years, we will be able to take away the pen and paper from the hands of doctors, nurses, and medical technicians. And this is our mission, and we hope to achieve it within the next 3 to 5 years. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am extremely grateful to you. Have a wonderful day.
I'd like to introduce our closing comment speaker, Dr. Father Abraham VM, Vice Chancellor, Christ Deemed to be University. Dr. Father Abraham VM has a master's degree in mathematics and MS in computer science from Iona College, New York. He obtained his doctorate from Bangalore University, India. He has been working with Christ University, Bangalore, and since 1989 in various capacities, and has been serving as its Pro Vice Chancellor from 2008 to 2018. Currently serving as Vice Chancellor of the Christ Deemed to be University. He has served as a member of various academic bodies like Scientific and Technical Community and Editorial Review Board on Natural and Applied Sciences, World Academy of Sciences, Executive Committee member, Conference of Catholic Colleges of Karnataka, etc. Dr. Father Abraham VM is a member of a religious congregation of Catholic priests called the Carmelites of Mary Immaculate.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to be part of the Let Us Dream Triennial International Virtual Conference 2020. I understand today, the second day of the conference, the discussions and deliberations were on the topic Mindfulness for Health, Physical and Mental Well-Being. I congratulate the organizers for identifying this significant topic to the floor for discussion. As an administrator, I have come across many instances of fainting spells and hysterical outbursts from students and faculty on campus. At Christ University, we have support systems with the counselors and clinics to tackle such instances. Lately, I have seen a rise in the number of cases of clinical depression. This is something of concern, especially now in this time of the pandemic. COVID-19 is spreading across the world, and with it, we also see the spread of worry, anxiety, and instability. As the mind wanders and gets trapped into patterns of negative thinking during times of crisis, there are feelings of fear and helplessness. Fear narrows our field of vision, and it becomes harder to see the bigger picture and the positive, creative possibilities in front of us. As perspective shrinks, our tendency to connect with others shrinks too. As I observe the number of COVID-19 cases spiking in Bangalore, India, I am reminded of a parable of the Buddha. Like Christ, Buddha also used parables to teach his disciples, and one day asked them, if a person is struck by an arrow, is it painful? If the person is struck by a second arrow, is it even more painful? He then went on to explain, in life, we cannot always control the first arrow. However, the second arrow is our reaction to the first. And with the second arrow comes the possibility of choice. Our first arrow is the coronavirus and the restrictions we are experiencing these days. We are affected by the travel restrictions, supply shortages, and physical distancing. The anxiety about getting the virus ourselves, worry that our beloved ones will get it, worries about financial instability, and the bleak stories the news and social media is to a large extent our own making. This is our second arrow. It is important to remember that Our second arrows, which are our emotional and psychological response to the crisis, are although natural and human, bring us only misery by narrowing and cluttering our mind and keeping us from seeing clearly the best course of action. The way to overcome this natural tendency is to build our mental resilience through mindfulness. Mental resilience, especially in challenging times like the present, means managing our minds in a way that increases our ability to face the first arrow and to break the second one before it strikes. The present climate of fear can create stigmas and judgments about who is to blame and who is to be avoided, making us forget our shared vulnerability and interdependence. I believe that meaningful connection can occur between us and our neighbor when social distancing decreases and physical distancing is maintained. This mindset happens with compassion. Our compassion is our intention to be of benefit to others, and it starts in the mind. We are being mindful of how we can help another person to have a better day. The mind then expands, the eyes see what is really in front of us, and we see possibilities for ourselves and others that are rich with hope and opportunity. I hope today we concluded that our dream of universal well-being is indeed achievable by building mental resilience through mindfulness. Thank you.
We are nearing the end of today's program. However, before we close out the day, allow me to introduce our final delightful and captivating video. It features an ensemble of entertaining and talented musicians performing together from different locations around the world. This inspiration ensemble was coordinated by the Dreams Band. The Dreams Band, an integral component of the Let Us Dream International movement, was established for the purpose of empowering children and youth in various communities in different parts of the world, with the help and support of their respective local community musicians. Credit goes to the Dreams Band for facilitating the coordination of an incredible international community of musicians and singers who voluntarily participated in the creation of this video. While this is an international group with likely different cultural backgrounds, they all subscribe to a belief in the power of music to transform, inspire, and help heal the world, particularly during these challenging times. To that end, they have prepared this musical collaboration expressly for you. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the music.
together